podcast 17, I had the good fortune to speak with Solace Capone. I've known him for a number of years. We've made some music together. I've made some art for him. But this was the first time we got to talk with each other face to face online. He, in my mind, is a singer, and I think he's got a remarkable voice. I enjoy listening to him sing, and I believe that he has a lot of potential. In addition to his singing, he also takes old vintage clothing and materials and brings new life to them through various different types of clothing design. I hope that you can enjoy whatever amount of this podcast you end up listening to. Thanks for your time and enjoy.
The podcast will now begin.
Hello, Solace.
What's
Good to
up,
see
dude?
you.
Yo, it's been way too long to like not talk at all, dude. We've been talking through like fucking through pigeon and shit, like email, like
Good to see your face and talk with you in person. Yeah, nice to
for
meet
sure.
you. How are you doing today?
Not too bad, not too bad. I got a lot of rest.
Awesome. Are you ready for me to throw some questions your way? Do you want to talk about
Yeah.
anything beforehand or no?
I mean, shit, if I can ask you how you've been with music, like as far as like where you were at with it and where you left it off.
Um, yeah, I think where I'm at right now is like occasionally I'll just pick up the guitar and jam a little bit, but I haven't picked up the guitar for maybe like 2 or 3 weeks. And sometimes I play around on the computer and make some random stuff, messing around with effects, just experimenting. But and then I have like archived a series of older works that I feel like are maybe worth sharing like as a little collective on my YouTube, but I just haven't prioritized to making that happen. And I'm like very scatterbrained and have like a million different projects and struggling to finish stuff. So it's just like I'm kind of like all over the place. I'm a mess. So and I'm kind of
Are
more
you
focused on visual stuff than music. Yeah.
right? Are you one of those people that like just keep everything, like everything that you make, you keep, or like do you like to
No, I
like I don't know,
think
like
once it's finished, then I delete it. Once it's like
right.
online, I often delete it. But
Mhm.
sometimes I save it. With audio stuff, it's more saved. But I have like a lot of stuff. But I do like deleting stuff too because I have so much photos and videos and audio. It's ridiculous. It's just so messy. I can't even so unorganized. So unorganized. It's
Yeah,
ridiculous.
no, I feel that. Sometimes like what I'll do is like I don't know, like as far as getting things like recorded down, because like I don't use a studio or anything. I literally just do everything like on my computer.
Me too.
So
Yeah.
yeah, so like literally like I'll put it down in voice memos, like if it's an idea or whatever, it's like a melody or whatever, keep it saved there, and then if it's important enough, I'll get back to it. You know what I mean? Like if it sticks in my head long enough, and if not, then I just never get to it.
Yeah. I do that a similar thing. And then I'll like go after like maybe 3 or 4 months, I'll go back through the audio files and then listen through them because some of them are like an hour long of me just playing around with the guitar or singing stuff while walking. And then it takes a while to like I'll just like put like 3 minutes and 45 seconds, 17 minutes and 48
Right.
seconds as like these little points that may be usable in some
Mhm.
kind of a song. Yeah.
Right.
So, what do you want to say anything about the music that you're going to release in the future, or do you want to just suggest people go and check it out and give it a listen? Because like by the time we release this, like it will have already been released. So,
Right.
do you want to speak on it at all, or do you want to just,
As far as what it's gonna be is it's more of how am I gonna put this? It's more of like trying to understand myself within music and like really with this like project. It's not gonna be crazy, like it's not gonna be like a 16 song project or like anything like that, because I kind of did something like longer with Somewhere Out in Space. And Somewhere Out in Space, it didn't get like the kind of love that I wanted it to get, nor did I like put the time and effort to get any type of like marketing or like playlists or anything like that. So what I do suggest is like if anybody's listening, check out Somewhere Out in Space, give that a listen, and then listen to this to see how the like because this is kind of like a I guess like a sequel to Somewhere Out in Space. Like this is more like in depth with
A whole series, a collection of something.
right,
Of
right. Like it definitely ties in together. There's a song called Red Blue Green Blue, and that song is basically throughout the times that like I'm not sure if you see my Instagram, but like my hair was like all different types of
yeah,
colors,
yeah, I've
and
definitely been
like
seeing that.
yeah, and like with that whole era is like I kind of use like the reference of me changing my hair to like I guess as I look at it as in like different versions of myself and like so with the whole project is just more of making singy songy type of songs rather than like I have a some sort I like there's still this part of me that makes like when I make music like it's kind of more like like I'm writing a story. You know what I mean? Like it's not like I don't know.
So
That troubles me.
one question that I have is like, do any of your songs, are any of it like spontaneous stuff? Like you're just singing spontaneously, or is it all kind of mostly written work? You write it and then you record it, or is it
I
mixture?
say right. It's like a mixture. Like
Yeah.
sometimes, like if I got a really good line, like I'll put it down on my phone, and if whatever beat I'm listening to, if it goes with it, then I'll do it. But like it's so hard for me. Like I'm not sure how you feel about this, but like when I'm sitting there writing music, I can't I can't have my phone in my hand and writing at the same time. I feel like I lose my train of thought way too fast. I definitely like to just like if I'm listening something and it doesn't flow right off the tongue, like I do not want to use it at all. If it's nothing like that, I can't. It feels forced and it feels like not something that I would make.
So you prefer to have like this natural kind of feeling when you're making your work and however that
Right.
works out. Okay.
Yeah. And that's with anything in life, just in general. That's just like how I live by. Like if I have to try too much as far as making myself love what I'm doing, I just like what's the point, you know? Because imagine trying to get somebody else to like what you made rather
Yeah.
than you know like it's
Yeah.
such a
You have,
hard I
okay,
it's
so
such a hard thing to like try to understand what people want and then what you want in your music, especially when you got people listening. Like right.
yeah. So would you say that because of this kind of inclination to just work from a place of what feels right naturally, that there's a lot of joy in the process of your music? Or do you feel like there's also a lot of like tedious and mind-racking parts to the process of making your music as well? Um,
Mm,
or does
I
it
would
depend?
say as far as like writing it or as far as recording.
More recording, producing, that kind of stuff.
Okay, yeah. So as far as producing, um, I would say I love when I got like when I've like as far as when I first make something and I put it down, I always start with the hook first, and then but I always for some reason it's like my hooks end up like my verses end up being my hooks, and then when it comes time to write the verses, I kind of like draw a blank a little bit, and then like I'll come back to it eventually, but yeah, I would say I find joy in recording and writing. And but the only thing is just like sometimes I get like a writer's block and it just makes me feel awful about myself. And then I have people messaging me, "Hey man, where's the music?" Blah blah blah. And that's what there's like that pressure too, like outside of it.
So what do? You just wait until something finally comes, or do you have like a whole archive of things you've written and things you've recorded, and you're like going through that and trying to find something that's potentially usable?
I mainly search for inspiration, like in any field. Like
I see.
if it comes into design or if it comes into understanding how another artist operates, I take their process and try to take that and incorporate it into my own. So like if I see that if I'm lost for the moment, so be it. Like if I'm stuck, dude, like you just have to face that that reality of like, hey, listen, you're not making whatever it is right now, you're just not feeling it. Come back to it later. You know what I mean? Don't dry yourself out just because something that isn't working today, because it might work tomorrow. Or like just with anything that you make, like I'll record snippets here and there of just me making like just sounds, and then using that as inspiration later on.
So are you kind of are you saying that sometimes when you're stuck or you have a writer's block or musical block, then you'll transfer over to one of your other hobbies or forms of creative expression? Is that kind of what you're saying here or
Right,
no?
exactly. But the only thing with that is that I'm one of those people like once I dive deep into something and I'm like I don't know like what you said with like finding joy inside of it,
Mhm.
I tunnel vision myself into that. Like so as far as like music, like I'll have these like episodes where it's just like oh man, I'm loving making music, but then and then it just I then once I'm drained out of that, then I go to another hobby like as far as like designing clothing. Like that's
Mhm.
been another hobby of mine where it's like I really love that, and then once I get tired and once I'm like, what do I do now? I kind of just alternate like between having
Yeah.
multiple, yeah.
Boom, 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 boom. Okay, so I like maybe I'm misunderstanding you, but it sounds like you have different hobbies and you're kind of having fun in each kind of domain of creative expression. And then once you're blocked or exhausted that creative energy, you jump to another kind of creative domain of expression, whether it be you're designing your hairstyle or designing some kind of clothing, doing some kind of tailor design work or other
Mhm.
some other type of design work. Where what kind of like as far as outside of music, you on your Instagram you post some different kind of tailor clothing design work. You've recently posted the lamp. What's and then you also on your Instagram it says designer and vintage tailor. So what's kind of been inspiring you within the realm of design
Okay,
lately?
so as far as design, so for the past, I want to say for the past 5 years, I've been going out. What I do is I go out thrifting, and it's like I see pieces. I mainly look for pieces that are of an older time. So when I say vintage tailor, that's more of like looking at clothing from the 60s, from 70s, 80s, and taking that and seeing how timeless those pieces are now, and like how things always just come back into style is just like it is amazing to me. So as far as what's been inspiring me in that realm, vintage like so you can go anywhere for like vintage clothing. Like I had with the lamp, that's I believe a 90s IKEA lamp, and that piece it had like the interactive, like you just push it in, you could bend it, and like you get different lighting lighting effects from it. Something that has multiple purposes or like can be seen in more than one light is amazing to me, and that's basically what inspires me as far as like tailoring and like trying to take like if, for instance, I usually grab like vintage blankets, like old blankets, and I'll take patterns from like 90s 80s and then apply that to that and keep the good times rolling with the pieces.
Right on. So if you in the future could do some kind of like design work as your job, would you want to do that? Or do you kind of prefer mostly to focus on design work that you're kind of like customizing your own personal apparel and uh your own kind of visual that visual component of your self expression
Yeah.
and
As far as that, I definitely would love to do that for full time. Honestly, is kind of what I'm trying to do now, is trying to get people to understand vintage clothing and not just look at it through the lens of, oh, this is just some old clothes that you're trying to upcycle. It's more than that. It's about keeping it's about keeping like a whole generation's worth of work alive, like to keep those styles alive, and basically um to share that in a way that I can show other people the value in that. Because now people nowadays just want fast fashion. Like as far as like they want something that's easy to digest and just, you know, they love it and then next day they don't and then throw it away and it ends up in a landfill. With what I'm trying to do is I'm basically trying to like be that middleman to stop that. Like if I can get it before it goes into a landfill and do something with it, that would be great. I definitely want to inspire people as far as that vintage style and to want to make their own clothing, right? Because like back in the day, like if we're talking like 60s, 70s, people learned how to make their own clothing. Like that was something that was taught inside of the house. And then eventually it got so far off the rail that nobody has the time to have that skill. And
Totally.
so yeah, so basically it's just I'm now just trying to show that on like on my Instagram. Like I won't do necessarily tutorials, but if I can post a couple of videos a day of showing me sewing something, and if that can light a spark in somebody, that's all that I really could ask for. The
Yeah.
clothing will be there for sale, like, but it's up to the universe to see if it takes me anywhere.
Yeah. Rad. Okay, back to music. Uh, so do you consider yourself, when you think about yourself in the realm of music, purely a singer, or do you also kind of consider yourself a producer or a musician? I don't know if you play any instruments or anything. I'm sorry.
Dude, I wish half of the things that I'm into, like I have no family background in music. I have no family background in clothing.
Yeah,
I basically come from two working class parents that never had the time to really, spend the time to figure out what I wanted. So I spent my whole like teen years and basically now just finding myself. Nobody taught me how to use a computer or like as far as school, yeah, but like my parents had no part into it. It was kind of like all these things just kind of found me, and I'm glad that I don't focus on one thing because without all the people that I met throughout my other ventures, I would never have the audience that I have. So like as far as if I have something in clothing and then I want to go ahead and switch one day and switch to music and somebody who followed me for clothing is like, oh snap, this guy this guy also, he also does other things and
yeah,
they find it like that and they want to support it. That's great. And then it just ultimately ties itself all together.
that it
But
does.
yeah, but like going back to what you said, like if I see myself as like a singer-songwriter producer, um I I definitely see myself as like more of a singer-songwriter. I wish I had more people around me that could like kind of see the like I don't really get along. Well, not that I don't get along, that I really don't have like a set vision when it comes to working with other people. Like you're literally I think you were the first person that I have ever done a song with. And
Really?
yeah, it was kind of like when we first got to talking to each other, it was like I can tell that you wanted something different.
Hmm.
And and at the time, dude, I think I think I was like 18. I was
Hmm.
like 18 and I was just learning how to use FL Studio. And then when you messaged me and you're like, "Hey, I got something, blah blah blah,"
Hmm.
and I was just like, "Wow, this guy is recording it through his like at that like you taught me that not everything has to be so complicated as far as having a whole setup, having everything hooked up, right? Like, dude, as long as you can figure out your whole thing, own that shit and and see how far you can take it, and that's really what I learned through you, like from being
Awesome.
like 18 and just learning how to do music.
Yeah, I also learned from you that, just keeping it doesn't need to be so complicated. It can be very simple, like the
Hmm.
transition from one artist to the next. Like I do my part, you do your part, and then we're done. And like whatever I do can be simple, and what you do can be relatively simple, and then we're done. And simple can be beautiful sometimes. Like it doesn't need
Hmm.
to be so detailed and complicated. Yeah. So,
I feel
yeah.
like too many people focus on polishing their work too much.
Yeah.
Like it's honestly so sad to see like that can really kill people's motivation just because something isn't sounding right like right away.
Yeah.
Like I understand where they can just pump the brakes, but just because you don't have like, let's say you don't have like a $300 microphone, or like even like if you don't have your own like recording software such as like FL Studio, dude,
Hmm.
record that shit. There's so many artists that record on their phone, and then just that mix
Yeah.
it on their phone. You know, like there's a way. Basically, what I'm trying to say is like if you want it that bad, you'll find a way. You'll find a way.
Yeah. One thing that I always keep coming back to is uh like Brian Eno. He's worked with like David Bowie and a lot of other famous artists, and he just uses GarageBand. So like like that's just a stock music app. Like it's like,
Yeah,
and he still produces some crazy ass shit. So it's like you could just have one little simple instrument and make some really crazy music from that thing if you just keep working
right.
it. All you need is like a pencil and a piece of paper. You just keep working pencil, paper, and like over years and years and years. Yeah.
Yeah,
The
it'll develop
something,
itself.
yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, this is probably a stupid question, kind of cliche, but I'll ask it anyways. If you were to describe your music in 3 words, what would those 3 words be?
Hmm.
And if you don't want to answer this, I understand. It's kind of a
In
lame
three
question.
words,
3 words, yeah.
I would
Someone never
say,
heard your music before. Three
dude, because
words.
there's words that I like hear because I hear it all the time when people listen to my music. But me personally, I don't hear it. Like a lot of people will say that my music sounds sad
Okay, so we got
and
sad.
sad, right?
Yeah.
Um, Another one would be sad, emotional,
Emotional.
and for the third one, uh, sad, emotional, and definitely, I don't know. People tell me it's sad boy music, and that just turns the conversation off for me. Dude, I hear it all the time. It's just like, what the fuck, man? And then I guess I get to my own end. All right, so sad, emotional, and uh, I guess like singer songwriting,
Okay,
like
cool.
storytelling type shit.
All right, right on. Great work. All right, so speaking of sad boy music, Corbin is kind of a little bit of sad boy music
Oh
in
my
my
God.
opinion.
I know what you're about to
So
say.
it seems like from my assumption is that from some of the things I've seen online, you're inspired by Corbin and perhaps also Bobby Raps.
Mhm.
Um, who are some of your biggest musical inspirations? Maybe you could speak of 3 artists or something like that, or you could speak of
Um,
more if you want.
You definitely hit it on the nail with Corbin. Corbin was
Yeah.
kind of like well, I guess not my initial. I would say Corbin, Mac Miller, and I would say Corbin, Mac Miller, and like Steve Lacy.
Yeah.
Um, as far as like sound, I feel like my music has definitely developed itself into its own style through these styles. Um,
So you could see how they have like infected your work or influenced your
right,
work. That's apparent to your
exactly.
mind. Okay.
Yeah, like as far as when it comes to like writing, like I feel like I get a lot of the like singer-songwriter from like um and maybe sometimes flows sometimes from like a Mac Miller like esque. Definitely when it comes to singing and stuff, like when I first started, I started rapping. Like I would throw on like instrumentals from other songs and and basically just write my own song to those.
Yeah.
Um
Do you feel like there's gonna, I don't know if you want to share this, but is there some rapping in your new kind of collection of works that you
Oh yeah,
intend?
for sure, for
Yeah.
sure. Definitely I try to keep it to a minimal, or at least in a way that people can digest it easier rather than, oh, this guy's just rapping. Like
Hmm.
I feel like singing is so important as far as not necessarily being a great singer with crazy range, but being able to wrap somebody into your world or wrap somebody into your melody and
Hmm.
and have that transfer into to making somebody enjoy your sound. So when it comes to singing, I definitely don't think that I have any crazy range. I definitely don't think it's anything special. Um, as far as tone and sound, I actually met with a buddy This was a couple of years ago. He's from North Carolina. His name is Seven Oceans Deep, and he basically he taught me without really telling me that he like as far as being yourself and staying true to your sound is like it's inspiring. Like if you listen to the guy's music, he definitely believes in himself 100% to not change anything in his sound,
That's
and
awesome.
that shit is just so inspiring to me. Like and that basically taught me like, hey, even though like you're not the craziest singer, you know what I mean? Like you can still make people like whatever you got if you like you said earlier, like if you just put the time in. That's it.
One other thing that came up in my mind when I was listening to you talk about rap and singing, uh, I guess in some people's minds or many people's minds, there's like a clear distinction between singing and rap as two
Hmm.
separate categorical like areas. But sometimes from like a conceptual standpoint, mentally, to try to like that dividing line between singing and rapping,
Hmm.
that distinction, to try to pull that out of the way and just let them kind of merge into each other and just allow kind of the heart or the mind to express whatever it needs to, and to not like either like mentally project like this is singing or this is rapping, and just do whatever the mind or heart needs to do in whatever way. And it could be like, yeah, I don't know, maybe what I'm saying isn't making any sense, but yeah.
Like are you saying like as far as like do like in the process of writing, like do you write in melodies or like do you write in like rap? Like
I guess what I'm
uh,
saying is like for me, I guess if I was trying to like sing or rap, sometimes maybe getting the idea that I'm singing out of the way, or getting the idea that I'm rapping out of the way, and just trying to
mhm.
express my heart or mind. And later, other people will mentally categorize it as rapping or singing.
Okay,
And
yeah,
maybe
I see
I
what you mean.
myself will also do that. But like in the moment, just however it needs to be expressed, like not getting into the headspace of like, am I rapping right now or singing? Should I be
Right,
singing or
right, right.
rapping? Or
Oh
yeah,
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 yeah, yeah, for sure. Like
yeah,
I definitely feel like when you start to when you start getting down to crafting the song, like when
yeah,
you start to hit the record button, you definitely think about that more. But as far as putting the idea down initially, um, yeah, I definitely just speak what's on my mind at the time. And if the
yeah,
idea comes out, like it comes out, like what we've worked on before, like if it hits me, it hits me, and if it doesn't, it doesn't. And hey, at the end of the day, we tried.
yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
man.
so some of your songs talk about mind state or like the state of your mind.
Hmm.
Um, how for you is that important? Like maybe like mentally, um, regulating your state of mind and watching it and trying to exert effort into your mind to like regulate your mind state, or is it kind of just like whatever your state of mind is, you just work with it in that moment and you don't try to change it too much?
I try not to change it too much because the way I like to look at it is that whatever I'm currently dealing with, whatever problems I have, if I can express that in music, you know, so be it. Let that be that. But like, I don't ever take the time to be like, oh, why am I thinking like this, or why am I thinking like that? Because I feel like I just complicate it rather than like when you're going like you ever hear the term like you're gonna find out like you're gonna find out in your own way. Like you can't look at your problems and just be like, all right, now they're all fixed. Like you have to work through it, and then I guess eventually just you see it in the rearview mirror. Like that's pretty much how I go about it. Like and I feel like with my music, like going back to Boy of a Blue Sky, uh like I feel like I still there's still parts of me that still exist, like as far as um like subject matter, and like just trying to just really trying to release myself from like anything that may be holding me back. Like as like in Boy the Blue Sky, the first song is Godspeed for Happiness, and I basically talk about how like I feel like the words are like I feel so high when I'm alone, breathing the air. Uh, God, I'm forgetting all of it. But basically, the whole song is just to breathe in and just take whatever comes your way and deal with it the best way you can, and don't expect everything to be fixed in one moment or anything like
Yeah.
that.
So this is kind of speaking on the same thing, and maybe it's the same question, but maybe it's a little different. But so, like in your music, or sometimes it seems like you're kind of expressing the ups and downs of life. Um,
Mhm.
and so, is there like any particular struggle that you've kind of faced and then dealt with, and where you've like learned about some kind of tool that's helped you to get through it? Maybe someone else has a similar struggle. I guess you kind of just explained that with your last answer, but I don't know if you
Um,
want to speak more on that.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I definitely can. As far as like as far as like how I go about like dealing with I guess like how I treat myself and how I treat other people. I know sometimes like some people like the people that know me, like I can be really hard on like somebody's like idea, or like if I don't fully understand something, I'm kind of hard on it, and I realize that, and I'm trying to be in this mindset of more of like be more open-minded to other people's ideas, and not always be in my own head of like, yeah, everything that I think is the way it should be, because
Hmm.
that is a horrible mindset to put on yourself, and especially onto other people. But what
Yeah.
I what I what I what I want to try to explain to other people is that if you're dealing with somebody that is really mean to you and like mean to your process, like look at them not like they're crazy, but like think of the how they must treat themselves if they're treating somebody else's work like that. Like if they're really hard on somebody else's work, like, oh dude, you need to do this different or that different. Like imagine how they treat themselves when they're
Yeah.
making something. It's
Yeah.
like it's the most unbearable like
Yeah.
type of like I don't even know how to explain it.
Yeah. Okay, let's jump to another question more on kind of your lyrics. For me, sometimes when I listen to your lyrics, there seems to be like a philosophical element to your lyrics. I don't know if you disagree or agree with that, but do you study any philosophers, or do you consider your mind to be somewhat philosophical as like a
I would
thinker or
I would
something
say
like that?
so.
Yeah.
Yeah, like not anything crazy, but like I took a a philosophy class in high school, and that really opened up my mind. The teacher was this awesome dude. He did like house music and stuff, but like throughout the day, like he's a teacher, and like his like mindset kind of like resonated with me, as in like of this like openness of like other ideas. Like I really enjoy thought experiments. Um, for
Okay.
example, there's one you might know about it. It's about like a ship, and the wood gets replaced on the ship, but if the ship gets replaced to like so much to where it's completely new wood and it has a casino inside of it, is it still the same ship it was, even though
Yeah.
it got all the places replaced,
Yeah. I
and
heard
like stuff like that.
I heard a similar analogy that like governments uh will like maybe like the narrative of a country or like a people is like a certain way, and everybody kind of like, or a lot of people identify with that, and then a new kind of government leader comes in and change, like if the government or the country narrative is like a car, the leader changes the back end of the car, and then they change the front end of the car once everybody's become accustomed with the back end change, and then they're making all these changes, and before you know it, you have a completely new country, a new narrative, a new, and like people aren't even aware of it because it's happened within a generation or something, and there's
Right.
been a whole entire shift, and people feel like it's so natural, but like now the whole country is functioning in a completely different way, and people
Yeah.
are re-identifying with the new narrative and the new concept of who they are as a people.
Right.
But yeah. All right. So you have, I don't know, maybe you have other music videos, but you have your one music video for Peace and Paranoia.
Hmm.
And when I watched that video, there's an appearance for me in my mind and my interpretation that you're like very kind of chill and relaxed. And a lot of your music, I also like interpret or project as being kind of like easygoing and natural. and you've already kind of described yourself as a natural kind of easy, like a relaxed kind of person. I mean, is that kind of how you talk about yourself? Are you like in one
Um,
sense you're saying you're
I
kind of yeah, I don't know.
Dude, like as far as how I talk about myself, I feel like as in terms of like I don't know, I like if you would ask somebody that I know, they would say that I'm a goofball. Um, and that's kind of just something that I've developed through like being like an outcast in a way because like I don't it just comes naturally. Like I don't know, like when I was in high school, I never really hung around like too many people. You know of Darius, right?
Yes.
You know Darius. Darius was all right, so crazy story. So
You
I
made music
actually
with him before me though, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
But we never make it so because he was more of like making beats on his phone at the time, and
Hmm.
he was like, but the way I met him is I actually seen him in my like I had a like oh I forget the word, but I seen him in my dream. And like I had the craziest deja vu, and he sat down like, dude, this kid is wearing a fucking one piece jumper suit,
Hmm.
and he's like, "Hey man, can I sit here?" I never talked to the kid, and I was like, "Yeah, go ahead, you can sit down." I'm new to this school, so basically,
Is
me and
this a
my
dream or
mom.
is this reality?
Okay, yeah, no, that's reality.
That's
So I
reality.
met him
Okay.
in my dream wearing he was wearing the one piece jumper like it was like a flight. It was like a flight, something you would wear if you were like piloting an aircraft.
Before or after you he sat down next to you?
This was when I met him.
Okay.
So I tell him like to go ahead and sit down, and this is in like not in the dream. So then in my the way I know it was in my dream is that when he sat down, like I got the craziest deja vu, and I just remember the fucking one piece because it's nothing anybody would wear, and he just and I was like holy shit, I was like dude, I was like I've met you before, and he was like oh yeah, and then like that just that kind of clicked, like
Ignited
he didn't
something, yeah.
yeah, like he didn't ask like what the hell are you like what do you mean? Like what are you talking about, weirdo? Like it was kind of just like we just kicked it off like that and then we just got to talking about like movies and stuff and just basically our interests and then we just built that bond like that. Eventually he went from making beats on his phone to making beats on a laptop and he's a very intricate guy. Like as far as making beats, like he really puts the time into to drums, definitely melody,
Yeah. He
but
makes effort for sure.
yeah, see that's where me and him like kind of like disconnect because like I'm kind of like the less is more kind of guy, and
Yeah.
I would definitely going back to your question as far as like how I perceive myself, I definitely am a frugal dude. I definitely am easygoing. Uh, I don't want everything handed to me. I'd rather learn as I go and keep it as that. Yeah.
Right on. Yeah, the first time I found out about you and Darius, I came across either your SoundCloud or his SoundCloud, and there's like this. I just remember the image because I'm a very visual thinker. The image was like a haunted house or something, and I was listening to. I think you both had a verse on it, if I'm not mistaken, and I was
Oh,
thinking like this is
yes.
really weird but very interesting. Like I can get down with this. This is like I'm like
Was
who
it
are
like
these like it seemed like you guys were like younger. I'm like these kids are weird, but like they both have potential, and this is
yeah.
like yeah, this is interesting. Like
Dude.
I'm gonna come back and listen to more of this because like I like scope out a lot of different random shit on SoundCloud because there's so many interesting humans in the world. But like when I came across that, I was like, all right, I need to check out more of this music. What is going on here? Yeah,
Yeah, no, dude, that was like 2018. Yeah, that's when he started making beats and he wanted to make beats. He was making more of, I think in my opinion, like soundtracks or like video game like
okay,
it was
yeah,
like I don't know, the stuff that he would make kind of sound to me like it's something that would be in like shows or like like I said a video game and and he's just developed from that and then he's like really into like getting like buying a new synth, buying different filters, buying plugins. Me, I'm using stock FL Studio and he always like clowns me for just not upgrading anything that I have and just sticking with it, which I don't know. Stock FL Studio is pretty good. I don't know.
hey, if it works for you, why not? You could
Right,
if you feel
exactly.
inspired and you have some time and you want to try to buy some new apps or programs or instruments, then you're welcome to do that. But if you don't, then yeah,
Right.
it can take a lot of time to master a new thing, to figure out some new thing. So this question you've pretty much already actually so you also have, like, I also interpret you as a relatively positive person. What are your thoughts on things like kindness, love, positivity? Do you want to speak on that at all, or
Um,
not really? Skip it. Feel free
yeah,
to
yeah,
skip
no,
it.
no. As far as like positivity,
Hmm.
um, dude, I don't know. I kind of am sometimes like a really negative person, and I still continue try to like shy away from that and just see
And the
things
way
in a
you
different
interpret,
lens.
the way you're talking about yourself as negative is like at times you're critical or hypercritical of yourself and
Yeah,
others, or particular
right.
things about others, be it their ideas or whatever.
Right,
Yeah.
yeah. Especially like what I realized with this with like just not trying to shit on something at the start of it, because like when I see it as like when I first started making music, like dude, I go back to some of the things that like I'd taken off of SoundCloud, and I'm just like, dude, what the fuck was I thinking?
Yeah.
And I try to see like if I see somebody else that's like that, because I get a lot of messages of like people saying, hey, I would love to have you on this beat, or like, hey, I want to do a song with you, and then they send me something, and it's just nothing that I would see myself on, and it's
Yeah.
like it kind of is kind of like, I don't know, it's
That's
kind of
it's
annoying.
yeah. It's good that you at least can do that, because I've spent time trying to work on something that didn't feel right initially, and it feels
Mhm.
kind of like, yeah, very unnatural. And but like there's this hope that if I just keep working it, then maybe I'll get it. But and then a lot of the time nothing comes of it. So it's good that you, yeah.
So what do you my question for you, like what do you do when you're in a state of like of having like a writer's block or like whatever it may be?
I honestly never feel the writer's block or the musical block. I that's something maybe when I was younger, I would, for me, it's more of like the same thing that you do, where I'm like doing a lot of different things. Like
Hmm.
I have like 6 or 7 different art books, and they're like all these different drawings, studying other people's drawings, studying photos I've drawn. Um, I guess I'll just speak on art because, and then it could be transferred over to music as well. And
Hmm.
then I have digital projects that are already going, and there's just so much unfinished work. So it's more of like if I am getting to the point with one piece that it's like it's exactly like you. That's just like I'm like I don't really feel like inspired to keep working this piece right now. I just
Hmm.
keep studying other artists, other techniques,
Right.
or I just keep working on other projects, finishing other projects, and I have so many different projects going on, that I guess I do have writer's block, but then I don't dwell on it at all
Right.
because I have so much different stuff going that, and then just trying to eventually finish stuff because I have so much unfinished stuff. And when I have so many different projects, then there's a lot more unfinished things to become unfinished because there's so much different stuff I'm doing that
Right.
it takes a
So
lot more time to finish things.
how do you feel like, all right, because like I literally do the same thing. So I go ahead and I'll start like different like in my sense, I'm talking about like clothing, like in sewing and stuff. So as far as like when you're drawing something, when you have so many other unfinished items, do you
Mhm.
feel like how does that make you feel?
Uh, yeah, I practice like Buddhism, and so I'll go kind of from like the Buddhist perspective here. Like the way, like in the past, it would irritate me so much,
Hmm.
but like it's irritating me less and less because like obviously there's like the fact that I'm gonna die, and
Right.
then there's the second fact, I don't know when I'm gonna die. I literally could die today. Like
Hmm.
part of my mind's like I'm not gonna die today, but like that's the fact is that maybe I'm gonna die today, right?
Right.
So I'm gonna die. I don't know when I'm gonna die, and I've got a ton of unfinished things, right? And I don't expect anybody else to try to finish them or share them or whatever. But like only it's only my mental attachment to things being finished and this kind of like idea of Jesse and who is Jesse and what he did and what he accomplished. And like it's kind of more of like an egoic pride trip. For me, that whole thing is like I have to try to just let go of that and just keep making art. It's
Hmm.
my addiction, my habit, my tendency. It's my way of trying to find myself or learn about myself or grow as a person, to work through things and to try to make some kind of offering to the world, offering to
Hmm.
human culture. Um, Whatever gets finished is what gets finished. Whatever gets shared while I'm alive or after I'm alive is what gets shared. And how it affects people, a lot of it's out of my control. And so like there'll always be the probably the neurosis or neurotic part of my mind that's like, all this is unfinished. And am I going to finish it? Should I put my energy here or here or here? But like, I guess like you say is like naturally just gonna whatever I accomplish, and whatever I invest my energy into. And a lot of it's kind of like it's so difficult to even control myself and control my projects. It's kind of just is going to unfold the way it unfolds. And like
Right.
the one Buddhist teacher I had, she said that like maybe your worry shouldn't be so much about like being finished or unfinished. It's just like the fact that you're being productive and you're doing things like, and you're not just like sitting on a couch and watching TV all day. You should just be like stoked on that. Like just the
Yeah.
fact that you're like being productive and you're not wasting your day away and you're just making stuff. Like don't get so neurotic about everything being unfinished and you're not completing everything. Just keep doing like so like that way it kind of helps me to like relax and just accept like the fact that I'm such a mess and so scattered everywhere with so many projects. Yeah.
So my question, I have another question. As far as how you want the public to see you, are
Yeah.
you happy with your current state of like how you present yourself, like in the space of social media, in the space I guess this is a two-part question. Like are you content with how you present yourself within a social media aspect and in IRL like aspect? Like do you feel like people understand you completely, or do you feel like most of the time people are kind of missing a couple things?
Um, I think um right now I am engaged to be married. I have a fiance, and then I um in the future it would be I would always like the idea of like making a living off of art would be great, but then I'm very like picky about how I make money as an artist. Like, so that has limited some doorways. Like maybe there's been some doorways that have been open, but because I'm very like picky about what doorways I want to go into, then I don't know. I guess like in the future, it would be cool if I could um make money off of art and support myself and my future wife, but I'm not going to expect that that's ever going to happen. And um right now I'm kind of just like trying to do the podcast, mostly focused on visual art. And um and if that can become something that becomes monetizable so that I don't need a day job anymore, that would be great.
Right.
And then, yeah, I mean, there could be different methods on like how I could gain a greater following or whatever. But then, like, I, I don't know. I would like a greater following, but then at the same time, how I go about what I share and what I don't share, and is like I'm picky about that. So then, yeah, as much as I would like a greater following, I do that's not the priority. So then
Right.
I just want to like I'm more like anal about what I put out there, because some things, if they don't sit right with me, it just creates inner neurosis. And
Hmm.
then I it's harder to live like in the present moment and be
Right.
at peace with myself.
Right.
And because I'm like I have these little neurotic things like should that be even on the internet? Like does that
Yeah.
like I don't do this, that it doesn't sit right, and then that like stays with me wherever I go, this feeling or
Right.
this mental chatter that's like so I got to be at peace with what I'm putting out into the world. And if that at some point can become monetizable, then and I can that can be part of my monetary income, great. I don't know. Does that answer your question?
No, yeah,
Yeah.
no, that was part of it. This is just the other part of like, do you feel like the internet or like the people around you get the full picture, or do you feel like you have to explain yourself a lot, or even in the sense, do you feel like you should have to to really explain yourself?
Um, yeah, I don't know. I currently don't feel like there's a lot of people that are very curious about who I am. I mean, I've done one podcast where with a acquaintance that I explained some of my history and some of who I am, and sometimes people ask some questions, but I don't know. I yeah, I mean, if in the future some people want to know who I am more, then I can try to explain that. But I don't at this point in time, I don't see how it's very necessary to explain who I am. I think what I want to do is just keep trying to get better at my craft and try to share higher quality work. And then hopefully at some point in time, that work will be monetizable in some way where I can make the work that sits right in my heart and my mind, doesn't make me neurotic. And I feel like I'm happy about what it is. And that will kind of like and how people interpret that is out of my control. And I don't know. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
absolutely. All right, so as far as since you're an artist, I bet you could. This question is gonna be easier, I promise. So, do you think as an artist, it is better to be a mystery than it is to try to explain yourself in like in this current day and age? Do you think it's more favorable for somebody to not show their face, to only put out work, and to remain this like kind of like vigilant, like
Enigma.
yeah.
Yeah. Uh, I don't think there's a right way. I think everybody has different personalities and mental dispositions, and I think trying to know yourself and what is going to make you more or less neurotic, make your heart more or less at peace, and then doing what you need to do. But I think if you're like, I assume I've never had to do this, but I assume if you're having to go like all over the place to re-explain yourself to like all these different people, all the time, that could be very exhausting and it can just like take away from all the other finite amount of time and energy you have to spend your life on. So there's probably a time and place where certain people, public figures, and artists maybe need to explain themselves and articulate themselves because there's certain things that are taboo or certain things that are okay or not okay in the society that they're a famous person within the eyes of those people. But
Mhm.
I don't think it, I don't know. Yeah. I mean, obviously, if people are asking questions and you're being interviewed, then you answer to what degree you feel you need to. But I don't know.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so like as far as like continuing on the direction of like being a mystery or just being like or sh like showing people exactly who you are, um do you ever feel like in your current situation now, like
Mhm.
you moved when did you move to China?
I've been living in China. I mean, I came here as a student for like for one semester, and then I came back like about 7 months later or something, or less than that, like half a year later. So all together, I've been living in China for um, almost 6 years now. Yeah,
6 years? Oh
yeah,
wow, that is that is a very long time.
yeah,
So all right, so as far as how people carry themselves,
yeah,
like where you're at, do you
yeah.
see a difference in like I guess not. Like what I'm trying to say is like, do you see a difference in like how people go about each other, like as far as like mutual respect and like just just I guess it's kind of different because like if you're from West Coast, there's a lot of outgoing people out there, right? Like
Hmm.
in the States. But if you're like I'm over in the East, dude, if you
Yeah.
look at somebody, they'll look at you like, hey, what are you looking at?
Hmm.
not like, hey, what's up, man? How's it going? And you can really tell the difference in somebody. Like you can tell that they're not from a certain place. Like
Hmm.
do you feel like you belong where you're at?
Mm, I feel pretty comfortable in China, to be honest with you. I don't really, I'm not a very social person at all. I think I became more and more introverted and more and more like less and less social over the last 10 years. So I don't interact with other people too much. Um, and I don't know, I don't feel like I'm really answering your question, but I feel comfortable here in China. I'm pretty content here. Think I feel pretty at home. There's definitely times back in California and the different places that I lived where I didn't feel as at home as I feel here at home in China. Um, uh, yeah,
So
I
as
don't
far as
know.
communication, do you speak Mandarin?
I speak some Mandarin, but I don't speak great Mandarin. I'm definitely not fluent. I can have basic conversations, simple conversations, but nothing too complex. Yeah.
Right. Have you
So
ever thought of like having your, I'm not sure if you've done this or not, like having your work like showcased or like in a like and anything like that, like as far as display?
in China,
Hmm.
like in a museum,
Yeah.
um, yes, I have thought about that, but uh, right now most of my work is digital.
Hmm.
The physical, like painting work on canvases, is not. It takes a lot of time. It's very slow for me, and it's not that enjoyable. Um, and the digital work, I haven't really thought up of a way to make digital work physical because NFTs here are illegal, um, and I haven't found a way to make digital work monetizable. And I don't think I'm quite at a space where I'm ready to do that. But
Yeah.
yeah, maybe someday I'll find a way. Um, yeah.
Would you say you're a frugal guy or no?
Um, I think in the past I was more frugal, and now I have uh, a job. The last kind of 3 years, I've had jobs that I've been able to have more savings uh, each month, and I think for the first time in my life, when I'm not like living like paycheck to paycheck, then I'm like I have some like money I can spend. So then I'm less frugal. I wouldn't say that I'm too like I'm not like too crazy about spending, but I'm definitely not as frugal as I used to be. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I just
I
I have extra money to spend. So it's just like, why not? I'm not too crazy. I'm not like I'm spending tons of money and buying tons of crazy expensive things, but I do buy random shit that I don't need for sure. Yeah, and
What
buy
what's
ex
something
yeah.
what's something that's like that you buy and you're not really sure why you buy it, but like you do it anyway because it's just like fuck it.
Um,
Like, are you a collector of it? I guess did you collect anything?
am I a collector of anything? I kind of like collecting plants, different types of plants and stuff, but I'm not a super collector. I bought one of those like skateboard things with the rollers where you like balancing on them. There's
Oh
like a
yeah.
rolling thing. I don't know why I bought that. I was just kind of like I want to play with that, and it's kind of like fun to balance, but it's kind of pointless. Yeah,
Right.
but yeah, I'm not too much of a collector. I think I do like buy art books to study other artists, but then I have too many of them and don't even end up studying them. Then like online art courses from other artists, then but I don't actually finish them. So that kind of stuff. Yeah.
Hmm. Wow. Um, going back to what you said, like of like not being so frugal, like when you have a job.
Hmm.
Like I kind of personally, like I've kind of like been going through that as well. Like when I was working, like I was kind of just like whatever with my money and just would go out to eat all the time and like just just kind of not really watch my wallet. And I feel like I feel like with working like all right, and I would say like in the current way like on how I feel about like like my status as far when it comes to like to having money and working and then to like would I rather be doing what I love and not have as much money, or
Mhm.
would I rather have the money and not enough time to do anything that I want? Like I always feel like, I'm not sure if you feel this way, but like I never have both at the same time. I never have time and money. I never have money and time. Like it's
Mhm.
just
Mhm.
it's a it's like the most
Yeah.
like elusive, like I guess I both are elusive, like as far as money and time. Because like when I'm working and I'm not working on the things that I really truly love and want to do, it's just like I feel horrible. And then when I don't have any money, it's just like, dude, like, do I keep going, or do I just, do I just suck it up and go work? But like either way, like I feel horrible on both ends, like no matter which end of the scale that I'm on.
Yeah. I think that's a dilemma that a lot of different people face and a lot of artists face. My dad, he studied some music and art in college and was like in a lot of different music bands and did a lot of uh, painting and art and was really into surrealism. But then he like really wanted to have a family. And his father, my grandpa, because I'm Jesse Nickel the fourth, he's the third, and his dad is the second. And Jesse Nickel the second was like, if you're gonna have a family, like it's not gonna be easy to
Mm.
like make a living and to support the family as an artist. So my dad was like, all right. So he kind of he would make paintings and stuff when we would go on vacations because he would have free time then. And he would
Mm.
like once a week go jam with his band and then do shows sometimes as we were growing up. And he would have like his creativity that he would express through like the architecture of our house and like changing it and stuff. But he wanted a family so bad and didn't really believe that he could make a enough money to support his family in the way he wanted to. So he kind of made that sacrifice. Uh, Maybe he could have made it as an artist or musician or both. I don't know. He
Mhm.
didn't make that decision, but the way he raised me and my brother was like we had a pretty comfortable life because he focused on making money, right? And then he raised me and my brother on the arts and the music,
Right.
uh and then he tried to really give us the confidence and the support, the financial support to try to pursue our dreams. And my brother kind of really believed in himself and really took advantage of that. And for me, I still have insecurities. I have dreams, but I'm just like, I don't know if that's possible. So come like now getting prepared for marriage and who knows, maybe children in the future, like the idea of financial stability becomes more of a
Right.
of
It's like
a
a
that's
voice in
more
your head.
important. And then like obviously I want to express my creative imagination and through whatever it be, podcast, music, art, etc. And I'm going to
Right.
continue doing that, but like there's just not a lot of time like to
Yeah.
have my
And
day
you know
job
what?
and the relationship. So yeah. Yeah.
I really came to the conclusion, this is maybe like a couple years ago, of that, like having money doesn't make you the artist. It doesn't make you the whatever it is, right? Like
Mhm.
I came to the idea that you are whoever you think you are. So if like in my instance, like if I'm a vintage tailor, if I'm an artist, if as far as like a music artist, I own that.
Yeah.
No amount of money is gonna give me that title. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
I feel like a lot of people don't understand that. Like there is, when are you gonna fully commit and call yourself like an art, like when somebody like when I was working and I would talk to a lot of like people, like these definitely wouldn't be people that I would ever communicate with like outside of work. Like I would just ask them, like, just to see how like other people think and stuff.
Mhm.
And then like it's just they put their occupation for what they need to do in front of what they really are.
Yeah. Yeah, I think because of my Buddhist brainwashing, the kind of lens of perception that I mentally perceive the world through is more of like we're kind of these habitual creatures, and some of my habits are to make music, make art, make podcasts, and because I have that habit, I want to continue doing that. And
Hmm.
whether I choose to identify as a podcaster, as a musician, as a singer, as an artist or not, and whatever other people think I am or don't think I am, I'm just I have my habits, I have my things, and I have my job, um and like yeah, I think I mean I agree with you, of course, like as like if you're if you're saying you're a tailor but you're not making any clothing and designing any clothing or tailoring any clothing, then those are two different things. But the moment that you start doing tailor clothing designs and custom clothing designs, like you can be considered a clothing designer of some kind. Are you a master? Probably not. But, if you keep on working on it, you're going to get better. You're going to start to understand it more and more and more. And
Right.
whether you keep doing that while you have a day job or while you don't have a day job, obviously if you don't have a day job, you're going to have more time. And if you're not wasting your time on the internet being distracted and you're really disciplined,
Hmm.
then you're going to probably progress faster. But I think even if you have a 12-hour job, if you carve out an hour every day to work on your art, you can still be an artist. You can still own that title if you want to. But you don't, as I think also like as an artist, as a musician, as a clothing designer, one never needs to identify with any of them. You can always come back to being a human and just you've got these habits and these things that you like to do and you want to get better at and you want to contribute to culture. That's another way of it. But like some people prefer to identify with particular things, and that's cool too. Whatever works for the individual.
Hmm.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
as far as what would you, because I believe you asked me this earlier. So what would you as like, I guess if you had to put a title on like what you do, what you want to do, what would the title be?
Um, I would say that like I'm a human that hopes that reincarnation and karma and enlightenment are real, but doesn't know if that stuff is real. Maybe it's all a bunch of BS. And I'm kind of chasing enlightenment with the hope that there's reincarnation and that karma is real. And I'm trying to slowly develop my mind, develop my heart, work on my inner problems, and develop the positive qualities like compassion and discipline and perseverance and wisdom and patience, etc. And just trying to slowly work through that from now till the day that I die. And if there's nothing after I die, then I was just trying to become a better person. And obviously, I
Mhm.
have my habits of like creative expression in its various forms and manifestations. And then if there is reincarnation and karma and enlightenment, then I'm going to just keep doing that in the next life. And then I'll
Mhm.
have my different habits of creative expression on whatever world I'm at, whatever the types of forms of art there is, etc., culture, and just, I don't know. Maybe that's too
Mhm.
crazy or weird, but that's the way.
No, no, yeah, no, I get it. Hold on, wait. Let me reset my audio thing. It's like acting weird. Give me 1 second.
Okay.
Hold
Okay.
on.
I have one last question for you, and then maybe we can call it quits on this podcast. Um, one thing, the one thing I wanted, like, if you were to sum up your current this now, obviously it'll probably change and evolve with time as you get older, but like right now, what is your kind of like holistic, full kind of perspective or philosophy on art or music or kind of human creativity in general? I mean, you've kind of already
Um,
spoken on it, but like
yeah,
if
no,
you were to kind
in
of a
general, like in the
synthesis,
big
yeah,
picture,
yeah,
I definitely think that we're all connected. I believe you should treat anybody else's work as if it was your own, anybody's dreams as if it was your own, because at the end of the day, if that whole reality of we are one, or if we're the universe experiencing itself, treat yourself how you would want to be treated at the end of the day.
yeah,
Um, I definitely have a soft touch on life, and don't take things too serious. Like, to give yourself time, breathe. Don't ever feel like you're in a rush to go anywhere, because at the end of the day, there is no rush. It's only you and time. There's no rush for anything. It's just you and just trying to figure yourself out. Take the time to live out your dreams, even if that means to be dirt poor, even if that means you got to struggle, even if that means that I've had shit where you run into a fucking brick wall and you realize that whatever you were chasing, you fucking hated it. Um, and if that's the case, whatever you're out there chasing, run into that fucking brick wall as hard as you can and get up. uh, and yeah, that's pretty much it. Fucking experience things. Don't be afraid because you're just gonna think about what you didn't do rather than what you did do, you know? Um, I
For
feel
sure.
like a lot of people spend a lot of time in their head, so be kind to yourself, be kind to others, and that's pretty much it.
All right. And what about where can people find you online? Where like if someone's like this Solus dude is interesting, I don't know anything about him. I've never heard him before. Where would you like them to go? Where can they find you? What should they
Uh,
type in?
Definitely on Instagram, at Solace Capone. That's the best place to reach me. I never see any of my emails. A lot of it goes to the junk. Yeah, so just if anybody has any questions, feel free to DM me. And yeah, that's pretty much where you can find me. Instagram is kind of like my whole thing.
If you have any interest in checking out the music or clothing design work that Solace Capone is doing, you can look in the description box below this video and you'll find the links to both his SoundCloud account and his Instagram account. Thanks again for listening. Take good care.